Hey guys, I hope you're doing good and welcome back to another What If video. Today we're going to be talking about an idea that I have, that what if Kylo Ren actually destroyed Rey during their fight on Starkiller Base in The Force Awakens? How would the galaxy be now that the future Last Jedi was gone? Would Kylo still overthrow Snoke? What would happen with Palpatine's return, and would he ever come back to the light? Before we jump in, if I could just ask you to hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date with all the latest within Star Wars, as there is a lot of exciting times ahead. If you'd like to show your support for the channel, feel free to leave a like, as it would massively help us out. Now, as we all know, Kylo Ren was the son of Han and Leia and grandson to Darth Vader. Kylo was extremely powerful with the Force, as he possessed that mighty Skywalker blood, which for sure would be crammed with midichlorians. I can imagine Kylo was the next in line to lead the new Jedi Order after Luke's time comes to an end, which eventually it would. He is getting on a bit at this point. And it was all down to him to ensure the Skywalker lineage continued as well. But the way Kylo idolised his grandfather was a problem, not because he idolised his grandfather, but the fact that it was his grandfather was Vader. Kylo trained as a Jedi in Luke's New Jedi Academy, but was being manipulated since before he was born by darker forces, which we learn was actually Palpatine. Kylo destroyed Luke's Jedi Academy after falling to the dark side, holding Luke responsible for failing him, and he went on to join the First Order as Snoke's apprentice, with the aim to follow in Vader's footsteps and finish what he'd started. At the end of The Force Awakens, after Kylo had killed his father Han Solo, to push himself deeper into the dark side after some internal struggle with the light, Kylo is faced with Rey and Finn in the forest on Starkiller Base. Now, Kylo takes care of Finn pretty easily, as he does within the film, leaving him out for the count whilst his battle with Rey rages on. Now, I do believe if Kylo defeated Rey and destroys her, which I think, given the fact she declined his offer for him to train her in the ways of the Force, he would have had no hesitation in doing so. So at this point, Kylo is only intrigued by her potential and how strong she is in the Force without any prior training. They haven't really developed their connection yet. If you remember, whilst Kylo was interrogating Rey earlier on in the film, she actually reversed the power to get into Kylo's head, which left him a bit stunned and taken aback. She even said to him, "You're afraid that you'll never be as strong as Darth Vader." After Kylo had taken care of Rey, he would be free to claim Anakin's lightsaber, that he actually claims belonged to him all along anyway. And by defeating Rey, Kylo would have pushed himself further into the dark side, and really, apart from his Jedi training, Kylo hasn't really had a great deal of any lightsaber on lightsaber real life combat, as there aren't many Jedi left at this point other than Luke as far as we know, which means this would serve as a big ego boost for him, a bit more confidence. With Rey gone, Kylo would return to Snoke to complete his training, just as Snoke had told Hux as they were evacuating Starkiller Base, which was about to explode. Poe, Finn and Chewie would return to the Resistance base and break the news to Leia, who probably already felt it through the Force anyway, that Rey had gone. The Resistance did now have the complete map to Luke Skywalker, so not all hope was lost for the galaxy. Leia would go to Luke on Arc 2, along with R2, C-3PO and Chewie, to try and gain her brother's hand in the fight against the First Order. With Luke coming face to face with his twin sister, after what would be quite a few years in exile, I can only imagine he'd be met with joy rather than with the stinking attitude he had with Rey when she arrived in the films. Although happy to see Leia, he would still feel a great deal of guilt and regret after losing young Ben Solo to the dark side in the first place. He did really blame himself for this after all, and let's not forget, if Ben didn't turn to the dark side, then maybe Han would still be alive today. With Luke and Leia reunited and Luke opening himself back up to the Force once again, it wouldn't take long for Kylo to sense their combined presence, which should probably only enrage Kylo even more, causing him to double down his search for any clues as to where Skywalker was, who at this point would be the Last Jedi. Kylo would still be the apprentice to Snoke, although he'd still be struggling with a great deal of internal conflict after killing his father, which he thought would have made him stronger in the dark side, but instead actually made him weaker. Also, with the fact Kylo now has to deal with his uncle Luke returning to the fight, Kylo again be seeking counselling more and more often from Darth Vader's charred helmet, asking him to show him the power of the darkness again. It would be during one of these sessions the voice Kylo hears inside his head whilst being around Vader's helmet, which Kylo actually did think was Vader all along, would actually lead him to Mustafar to retrieve his grandfather's Wayfinder and lead him to Exegol, where he would be met with the realisation that it was Palpatine all along, and that Snoke was just a puppet the whole time. Even though Snoke was a creation of Palpatine's, I don't really believe Snoke knew this, and generally he probably thought that he was around to see the rise and the fall of the Empire. Perhaps the memories he has are just the third-person point of views of Palpatine's memories, potentially. So upon confronting Palpatine on Exegol, Palpatine would tell Kylo that the only way he has a chance of defeating Luke and destroying the rebellion once and for all was with Palpatine's power and training, and the huge Sith fleet that Palpatine had amassed over the years on Exegol, ever since his supposed death at the end of Return of the Jedi. With the promise that once the Jedi were gone and the rebels were destroyed, Kylo would take over and become the galaxy's new emperor, with the Final Order, powerful enough to deal with any threat that could ever come their way. Palpatine would likely want to come face to face with Luke once again and request Kylo to bring him to him, just as he requested the same thing from Vader all them years ago. This time Palpatine's intentions wouldn't be to turn Luke to the dark side and be his new apprentice, as Palpatine by now knows this wouldn't happen, and besides, at this point Palpatine already has a new apprentice, one who's much younger, in Kylo. Palpatine would have the idea of draining Luke's life force out of him, rejuvenating himself so he could return with almost the same level of power he had the last time that he was Emperor in the galaxy. Once Kylo managed to track down Luke and Leia, Leia would plead with Kylo to stop, before him and Luke are about to face off. Now, a bit like the scene where Padme pleads with Anakin on Mustafar, just as he was about to face off with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Unlike with Anakin, Kylo isn't as convinced that what he's doing is for the greater good. He's still very conflicted after killing Han, and now he knows that Vader wasn't actually talking to him, that it was just a trick by Palpatine, who'd also felt manipulated and used this entire time, leading him to actually reconcile with his mother and once and for all destroy Kylo Ren and return as Ben Solo. Not the Jedi, but just Ben Solo, the Force user. Equally as powerful in both the light and the dark side of the Force, making him very, very powerful, able to tap into both sides at will, with ease. Kylo would return to Snoke in his throne room, where he would now kill Snoke straight up and dispatch through Snoke's guards with ease before returning to the Resistance base and setting off with Luke and Leia to confront Palpatine on Exegol, along with the Resistance fleet and pretty much anyone else in the galaxy Poe, Finn and Chewie could round up. Palpatine would already be aware of Kylo's betrayal to him. He already knew of this before he even took out Snoke. Palpatine had already been in contact with General Pryde to instruct him to prepare the Sith fleet and execute their plan to retake the galaxy once and for all. This is before the huge Resistance and whoever else turns up fleet shows up and rains fire on all of them. At this point, the space battle would pretty much go in a similar way to it did in the films. Luke, Leia and Ben make it to Palpatine, who at this point gives a speech about power and how the Resistance will lose, and as will the last remaining Skywalkers. Although this wouldn't really matter too much this time, as Luke, Leia and Ben together would be too much for the Phantom Emperor, taking him down and destroying him once and for all, not even leaving him with any time to try and drain any of their life forces. Kylo may never properly be forgiven by the Resistance for what he did to his father, but he did turn good in the end and eventually do the right thing. Leia would begin rebuilding the New Republic and dealing with her grief of losing Han Solo in her own way, whilst Luke and Ben would continue to search the galaxy together, looking for more Force sensitives to train at the Jedi Academy, along with Finn of course, and the galaxy would finally be at peace, for now. Now I hope you all enjoyed today's video. It was great fun making it. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments, and if you'd like to hear more of these, click the subscribe button. Until I see you in the next video, may the Force be with you.